Hi, curious friends. It's Heinrich here. So I wanted to talk to you about my next experience with the Ford Expedition, which it's never a dull moment when you're kind of building up your vehicle, right? Because as soon as you purchase a used car, right? I mean, this is one thing I'm learning. You pick it up from the dealer wherever you bought it from, and then you drive it home. And you just start noticing things, and I might be a bit particular. I grew up in Germany. What can I say? I have some OCD. And there were some beeps and squeaks and noises that I didn't like. But during the first 500 to 1,000 miles, you start realizing all the little things that are bothering you. For instance, like shift points were bothering me. I did not like the way the vehicle shifted. So what did I end up doing? I studied the transmission for the next several hours, being like, why are the shift points so hard? So what exactly do I mean with that? So I was driving on the country road. I was going about 60 miles an hour. And then there was a vehicle in front of me, and I just wanted to pass it. So I floored, and the downshift went from 10th gear down to 6th gear and just jolted me forward. And, I passed just fine, but that jolt seemed like that's not something a vehicle should be doing. So I was worried. So I decided to go research the transmission a little bit more. So quick update. This transmission, right, is a 10-speed automatic transmission specifically built for the EcoBoost engine, right? So the EcoBoost, right, has those turbochargers. They have very, very thin power bands coming from the engine. So you need a lot of shift points to kind of stay in that perfect power band of the engine. With that, a 10-speed transmission is pretty complicated. But here I was worried that I had a busted transmission that I just bought used. So I took it into the dealer and I asked, hey, can you just do a once over of the transmission, make sure there's nothing mechanically wrong or any issues with it? Because I thought I was hearing a humming when I drove up to drive-thrus, and you kind of hear your engine come off the walls. So you could hear some parts of it, and it just didn't sound right to me. Later on, finding out that was a rattle from the engine, not from the transmission, which is good. So they came back and said everything checked out. There were no error codes, nothing wrong with your transmission. But it was still shifting so poorly during the day. I was like, what is going on? So I decided to purchase a Foxwell scanner. So this scanner right here, this plugs into the OBD2 port. And I have it loaded with the Ford software on it. So you can buy this off Amazon. It's like $270. And you can look into the diagnostic computer of the engine and of the whole vehicle itself. And it gives you all the fault codes. It gives you sensor readings. It allows you to look at different data that's stored, which actually applies to my issue. So my transmission is far too smart than I gave it credit. So the automatic transmission studies how the driver drives the vehicle and therefore adjusts the gear change points based on how a person drives. So the previous driver must have been, I don't know, a race car driver or whatever, because they allowed that engine to rev up pretty high before it would shift for me. Me personally, I have a really light foot. I don't need to go fast. Why take that risk? It's not for me. So I, just a little acceleration on the pedal. And it was interesting because I would still just wait for the gears to shift, or it didn't feel right. What I learned was the transmission studies the driver and then adjusts shift points based on their driving style and tracks that over time. And my issue was I inherited all the settings from the previous driver. So with the tool, I logged in and I cleared out all the transmission maps, and those maps, started from factory again. So it was in complete learning mode, and then I drove it for 100 miles or so, and then it began figuring out who I am as a driver, my personality, and now it's smooth as can be. I'm actually pretty impressed with the 10-speed transmission. So very thankful I got that tool, because going in, they were threatening $7,000 to get a new transmission, or was it $2,000 to flash the transmission software? It's completely overcharged. This tool is so simple to use. Foxwell You just open it up, you plug it in, you charge it up, and you see all the settings. And there's, if you're interested in the comments, I can walk you through exactly what I did if you're running into similar issues. F-150s and the Ford Expedition series, you're all going to have similar issues. So feel free, put it in the comments box. I'll give you a deep tour of this Foxwell tool. But for the purposes of this video, I just wanted to give kind of a higher level transmission talk and what I experienced once I picked it up. All right. Once again, stay curious, not judgmental. We'll chat more soon.